Well, good evening. Welcome back to Space Oddities. Thank you for joining us again this evening, if indeed that's what you've done. We are live for the 6th flight test of SpaceX's Starship. As you can see there, the spaceship is fueling, and liftoff is in about about 15 minutes. Liftoff is due. We're joining NASA Spaceflight for the coverage this evening, so thank you to NASA Spaceflight. And with me, I've got Daz, and I've got Bernard and Ian and Michael joining us for the live coverage. So, any thoughts, guys?
Well, exciting times again.
Exciting times indeed.
Yeah, let's see if they can do it again.
Yeah.
So, just a reminder, this is obviously a mission to move towards the eventual goal of the Starship, which is to establish a fully reusable, rapid turnaround vehicle that will take us to the moon, to Mars, and beyond. And this is the Holy Grail of spaceflight, building a vehicle that can be fully reused and can be flown very quickly after it's landed. And I think Elon Musk has floated figures like, each Starship launching 12 times a day or something like that. But this is Elon. We've got to take that with a pinch of salt. However, it must be said that if the system works as it's intended, and with each test flight, SpaceX are getting closer and closer to that, then the vehicle will be fully reusable and should be able to land and take off again remarkably quickly. These are things that have never been done before, because for the whole history of spaceflight, this goal of having a completely reusable system, both the booster and the spaceship itself, can be launched at very low cost. Don't forget as a comparison with the NASA Space Launch System, which the cost of launching NASA put at $2 billion per launch. And Elon Musk eventually hopes to bring the cost of launching a Starship down to under $2 million. So you can see that the complete different economy that we're talking about. And this is what we often refer to as new space as against old space. Old space means you launch a rocket, you jettison most of it, 90% of it, into the ocean. And when you want to fly again, you build another one. And this is environmentally very bad, of course, because, after 60 years of space flight, how many tons of rockets are lying in the Atlantic Ocean? An enormous amount. With all of their heavy metals and toxic materials. So environmentally, this has never been a good way of flying into space. But the technology has never been there to actually do it a better way. So SpaceX have led the way in pioneering rockets that can take off and land again, be reused, and thus bring the cost of spaceflight down enormously. Now, just as a comparison, during the space shuttle era, NASA space shuttle, for example, it cost about $26,000 to put 1 kilogram of mass into orbit. If the Starship works out as planned, it could come down to as little as $1 per kilogram. So 26,000 times less. This is the difference of economy that we're talking about. So we're all rooting for Starship, because as a revolutionary vehicle like this, it has enormous potential. It can take satellites into orbit. It will be used to launch the rest of the satellites for the Starlink constellation, which is bringing the internet to people in the developing world who would never have had the internet either, and thus have been completely disenfranchised from the global community. It will be used to take people to Mars, to the moon, and it's very thrilling. But you have to remember this is a test program, and things have gone wrong and will continue to go wrong. Starship is not quite there yet as a system, but with each launch, it gets modified and developed using this rapid iteration process that SpaceX do for their rocket development, where you launch a rocket, something goes wrong, you find out what, you fix it, and then you launch again. This has enabled SpaceX to make more progress in a few years than in terms of rocket design than has been made in decades and decades by agencies like NASA. Of course, SpaceX are not the only new space company. You've got Blue Origin, you've got Rocket Lab, you've got many other startups coming up, but they are the most successful. And just as a measure of their success, 85% of all the tons of payload launched into Earth orbit last year were put up there by SpaceX. So they have cornered the market in launching, especially satellites, into low Earth orbit. And why? Because the rockets are reusable and it means it's cheap to their customers. So anyway, I've waffled enough. So anybody else got any thoughts?
Andy, that figure you gave us, is that a US based payload or is that worldwide payload?
That's worldwide. So,
wow, I knew SpaceX was big, though it was big, and I saw figures before, but I didn't realize they actually reached that level of dominance.
85% of all the tonnage launched last year was put up there by SpaceX. So it's market dominance.
Well, they're getting down to about at least one a week now, aren't they? Like the Falcon 9.
Oh yeah, well there've been 2 this week so far.
Yeah, I think there's been 2 or 3 within the week.
Yeah,
this week. So they're rattling them off.
Absolutely. So you know, and at the moment there's nobody to compete with them. I mean, you've got Blue Origin with their New Glenn rocket, which still hasn't launched, and it's meant to be launching before Christmas, but I was reading the other day there seem to be some problems that they might not make that launch again. Don't forget that Blue Origin has been in existence for 2 years longer than SpaceX, and they've yet to get one single thing into orbit. So you know, that's the comparison really. And Rocket Lab are doing well. I see Rocket Lab have picked up a couple of new big contracts. Originally a New Zealand company, and they're now based in the United States. And there are others. ULA with their new Vulcan rocket. The future of ULA is uncertain. It's actually up for sale at the moment. Prospective buyers do include Blue Origin, but nobody knows what's happening with them at the moment. So SpaceX at the moment, they've got the vast majority of the market to themselves. So
didn't I read that the Chinese were trying to develop a reusable rocket as well?
Oh, Bernard, it's hilarious. It's a direct copy of Starship. It could be a Starship clone. But
it's a bit like the Russian space shuttle.
Yes, that's right. That's
the Buran. Yes.
Yeah, the Buran. Yes, that's right. But they've had a few problems with it. But then again, SpaceX had problems with the Starship. So you know, so it'll be a few years yet, I think. But then again, you know, the Chinese at the moment with their space program, money seems to be no object. So they are moving very, very rapidly. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was not for East, would be trailing behind.
Oh, long way behind. Long way behind. But America isn't out of the woods yet because they've got such problems with the SLS. That you know, the latest, well, not the latest, the big problem has been the Orion spacecraft, which is meant to go to the moon. And as we know, when it splashed down after the uncrewed test mission, they found cracks all over the heat shield, which they haven't up until now been able to fully understand. Apparently they have worked out why it happened now, but they've got to completely redesign the heat shield, which is going to delay the second Artemis launch again. And, you know, in the meantime, China are just racing ahead to be the first to set up not just land on the moon, but set up a permanent outpost on the moon. because they want strategic dominance of the moon. You know. So
it's very, very strange. Yeah, as you said, with Elon, if it wasn't for Elon, virtually nothing would be going on in the USA.
no, that's
As you said, the ULA are struggling with the Vulcan, and they're already up for sale. And of course, the more they delay, because they've already got orders. Well, they've lost orders already,
yes.
but they're also being fined by the sort of their Defense Department, because the reason that ULA was set up, it was a monopoly for the military to have access in space, and of course it was Lockheed Martin and Boeing.
Yes.
Boeing are struggling with the Starliner and the SLS. And of course, as I said, ULA are up for a thing. Boeing are talking about dumping their space department. And the person who keeps poking his head up saying, "Oh, I'll buy it," somebody who seems to like to buy dead ducks, and that's Mr. Bezos.
Mr. Bezos.
For some unknown reason, he just wants to buy everything. I think it's a case of that he, for me personally, I think it's just a case of he doesn't want anyone else coming in. But the thing is, as you said, he's achieved nothing, unfortunately. The unicorn that is the new Glenn. They say it's ready to fly, but it's then of course they find something else, and it's just delay after delay. But as you said, nobody else is seriously looking at reusability.
No, indeed.
They're just dipping their toe in now. So
indeed.
yeah, it's
Listen,
very.
Sorry to interrupt, Daz.
As
it's allegedly 3 minutes to take. Why don't we listen into the commentary and see how it's going?
Looking at the tower, at the OLM, with those vents coming up. There you go. Tower vent is back. Ship propellant load has ended. And then with the OLM vent coming back, should be coming back in just a few seconds from now. That'll be our indication that booster propellant load has stopped. But you can see also the tank farm has quieted down. All of those subcoolers that were very, very active just a few minutes ago, they are no longer active. That's normal. That's because they have stopped propellant load. And so that is the next thing that we should be having now is that, now that Starship is loaded with 4,500 tons of propellants, right? Now they're going to be preparing that for liftoff, and hopefully we get through that T-minus 40-second mark with no holds. So far, so good. Every single update I'm hearing so far, it's green. This is going.
I mean, we might be 120 seconds away from the 6th flight of Starship. Alex, it's always a pleasure to do this with you because we have now doing what? This is the 5th flight together, so I'm excited for this, and I'm absolutely looking forward to see this fly. Again, there might be a chance, we don't have the confirmation yet if SpaceX will clear the hold or not. There's a potential hold at T-minus 40 seconds that they might take or might not take. They usually confirm in advance if they want to take that hold or if they go right through it. If they go right through it, there might not be that much time for us to confirm you that before they're already arriving there. So watch for the bottom of the rocket where the suppression system and where the deluge system will start to spool up, and that is the thing you want to see, and that means they will start to ignite these Raptor engines. The holding clamps at this point have already been released. The rocket is just being held down by its own weight. There is nothing of like a hold down clamp or commit clamp anymore that is holding this stack. We are 50 seconds away. We should get confirmation if they take that hold or not any second now.
Let's see.
And again, watch for that bottom of the rocket. That's where we will get the confirmation. Any second now.
Okay.
Let's...
Are we
That
or
is
not?
a beautiful rocket on the stack. Watch if we can see at the bottom if something
No
is
holds.
moving there. No holds.
Ready.
So watch for the deluge system
Yep.
to spool up. That will be our sign of imminent Raptor ignition. First the fire suppression system. There's the fire suppression system spooling up. Next up will be the deluge.
Here we go. 3,
engines lit.
Yeah, they're all lit.
All in.
Yep.
All in, Ukraine. All in, Ukraine.
Wow, here we go again, guys.
10 kilometers already.
Look at that. Fantastic.
Look at that.
I love those diamonds in the exhaust.
Yeah.
15 kilometers.
Of course, the exhaust is now expanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Absolutely
Wow.
fantastic.
Let's see how the separation
90
goes.
seconds into the sixth flight of Starship. Everything looking good so far. Correct me if I'm wrong, yeah, Alex, but I see 33 healthy
Out of
Raptor
33.
engines.
Indeed,
Absolutely.
just went through max Q, supersonic. It's, going through 20 kilometers right now. You can see there the SpaceX feed. Everything healthy so far.
Absolutely
it's been a
gorgeous.
gorgeous launch.
And we are just approaching now the hot staging maneuver. Something that we didn't give that much attention, but of course it's absolutely insane. They will ignite the engines on the ship before the before the stage separation. So what they basically do is they will use the thrust of the second stage to push the second stage away from the booster. And that maneuver is coming up, that hot staging maneuver. So far, everything looking good.
Watch out for that main engine cutoff. Well, I guess most engines cut off now.
Yep. And
So
there it is, hot staging.
Here we go.
There we go.
And
Looking good so far.
Ship
And again,
engine start.
the booster will
And
do a
they're
flip now. The
separated.
booster will
There
do
we
the
go.
flip
Yeah.
right
There's
away
the
out of
flip.
this
Yeah.
maneuver. You can see there, and the booster is now in boost back.
that's the flip.
And now we are in the critical phase where the flight director
And tower is go
has-
for catch.
Let's go. That's what we want to hear. That means they will try to attempt the catch here. The second catch attempt of the Starship
Also,
program.
That boost back burn going well. All 13 engines on the booster are firing, heading back to the launch site.
I didn't see the hot
Absolutely
stage ring
insane.
separate.
No,
And that
will come a
catch
little
is
bit
coming
later.
up roughly at 7 minutes after liftoff. So you're already halfway there from liftoff, just saying. And in about 3 minutes and 30 seconds, we will know if Booster 13 will follow Booster 12 in a successful catch attempt. Boost
Yeah,
back burn
hot
looking
stage
healthy.
jettison is at 3
This
minutes
is first.
40.
That's the first shutdown,
And that's good.
and then a final shutdown. It's staggered.
And remember, this
Let's see.
maneuver is a bit different for versus Falcon 9. While Falcon 9 performs an entry burn to slow itself down, this requirement
There we
does
go.
not exist for Super Heavy. So the next burn this booster will conduct is
Hot staging
the
ring has
landing
been
burn.
separated, by the way. You can see it there now floating separately from the booster. If you squint, of course, because it's very close to it right now.
Absolutely crazy. There it goes. Coasting down back to the launch side. And that booster is now our center of attention the next 3 minutes.
Oh, I think I saw the ring then.
Looking good so far. Whew, Alex. Ascent already going great.
Oof. The ship continuing into orbit.
That's what we want to hear. The ship, of course, on its own journey.
It looks like the booster is now no-go for a catch.
Oh.
Okay, there we
Yes,
go.
it-
That was
It's going to
something
be
that
diverted to a splashdown, unfortunately.
Oh,
Oh.
There we go. SpaceX has confirmed that not everything apparently is green for catch, and they will abort
So the tower
catch
was
attempt.
go before, but during that boost back burn, it seems like they have decided to not go for the catch.
Oh,
And that
It's
is
okay,
the final
you know,
commit.
That's
That's a final
that's
commit,
why
right,
all of
Alex?
these, yeah, that's why all of these, commit criteria need to be followed, and need to be, looked through and everything. It's why they are there, right? But hey, ship continues into orbit, the booster will not return to the launch site, but it will attempt a splashdown on the Gulf of Mexico. So if that goes well, that'll be a good piece of data that they'll get from the booster.
Absolutely. This is we still have a lot of things to track here today, so get ready for still a lot of excitement in the next few. And the ship, I mean, let's be real, the star of the show today is very much also the ship. That thing has still
look at
quite
that.
a journey for us. Look at that
Now
booster.
it's re-entering, but remember, they have just confirmed no catch, so it is going to be attempting a splashdown. We're going to try and track it all the way and see if we have luck.
Yep, absolutely.
It's a shame.
Look at that tracking.
Yeah, it is. But
Gorgeous.
you know, as we keep saying,
basically
it's a
the
test
booster
program.
has changed its trajectory, so it's no longer going
It's a great
closer
test
to the
of the
tower.
safety
Should be coming up
systems,
on that
isn't it?
landing burn. There you
Oh
go.
wow!
That's the landing burn. That's what we want to see.
Wow.
And there's the water.
Down selecting to 3.
Oh, look
There's
at
the
that.
3.
Wow!
And
Nice.
See, it's doing
we
the translation
Look
just
at
as
that,
if it
yeah.
was being caught. And now,
Yep.
there
It's
you
on
go.
the water. Ah.
And I would not be
That's-
surprised if now it blows up, by the way. So don't be
Yeah,
surprised.
Oh,
There
there
it
it
is.
goes. Ah.
Good job, Booster. Good job.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they'd done that to the launch pad, then that wouldn't have gone.
Well, exactly.
Was that the sound?
I think that was
Oh,
the
nice
burn,
mushroom
right?
cloud.
So next up
Yeah.
should be the... I'm listening. Do we get a boom?
The ship, meanwhile, continues to go into a nominal trajectory. So far, so good.
And it seems like we don't get the explosion sound. But yeah, everything on the ship seems to be going well. And that, again, that can happen. Like, let's be real. This is a thing that can happen. And that we always said they
well,
only
there we
would
are.
commit for this catch if everything went
Engine cam.
absolutely perfect. Oh, there it is!
Engine count, look at that. Okay, the vacuums have shut down as expected. Should be coming up very close to that final shutdown. Look out for that speed. Should be, I think it's targeting about 26,000 kilometers per hour for these flights. But don't quote me on that.
Do we know what payload it's carrying?
It's not carrying any payload.
Down here.
Still test flight.
But, I mean,
Yeah.
ship looking good so far. We have not heard that anything on the ship is... and there it is, engine shut
There
off.
you go.
Ship, we are now waiting for confirmation of good orbit on ship. And the ship has quite a few milestones still to go here.
Yeah, because they are going
Because
to
the ship will
relight
still
one of the
perform
engines as well.
an engine relight in space.
And it's
will
going to
also
go
try
head
to perform, of
first
course,
through the
this
atmosphere.
more
And
aggressive.
good insertion.
There we go. That's good. That enabled SpaceX to do more milestones here and potentially get a lot of valuable data from the ship.
This is fascinating.
Isn't it?
Wow. Look at these views. I love that engine camera. I'm glad we are getting that, and I hope we get that during the engine relight. When is that engine relight again? Do we have a timing of that?
Yeah, it is about 37 minutes into flight, so about 26 minutes
Really
from
cool
now.
to see it lift off.
Absolutely.
To be more
And
precise, if everything follows the same timeline, which again, times are approximate, but SpaceX has it at T plus 37 and 46 seconds. So that's sort of the point in the timeline. So we have a little bit of a coast phase here.
It's
One thing that I'm
interesting
looking
to see
forward to,
on
though,
the
during
angry
this coast phase,
astronaut.
we're going to see
um,
orbital sunset.
Not the angry astronaut, the everyday
Oh,
astronaut.
And
But he's got the camera focused on the floating booster rocket,
Oh, has he?
and you can see it slowly tilting up
As it fills up with water.
as
Yeah.
it slowly fills up with water. Yeah.
The
That was such a
explosion-
disappointment, but
Yeah.
if things aren't right, I mean, it's a great test of their ability to be able to abort it away. And to actually be able to see it come all the way down into the sea, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Because, but yes, and of course, we were expecting an explosion and it didn't disappoint us. But that's what happens when you dunk very hot metal into a very cold sea.
Yes, the explosion, of course, being the fact that metal is incredibly hot. And when the seawater gets to it, it turns immediately to steam, and the pressure of that steam ruptures the fuel tanks, and boom, and you only need a source of ignition, and the whole thing blows up as it just did. So this is quite normal. Of course, it won't happen in normal operation, we hope, but nonetheless, as Daz said, it's a testament to the level of this technology that they can decide we're not going to go for a catch, we're going to go for a splashdown instead. And the booster actually has the capability of making that decision autonomously on its own. And I suspect on this occasion, because it's still a test flight, SpaceX would have given it the command to splash down rather than go for a catch. But the booster is capable of making an autonomous decision to either be caught or splash down. So marvelous technology. So coming up, as they said on NASA spaceflight, it's going to be about another 20-25 minutes maybe for the next event, which will be the relight of a Raptor engine, which has never been attempted in space before. So relighting rocket engines in a vacuum is actually quite a difficult, or can be quite a difficult task. And they want to test this because obviously they're going to need to relight engines in space, because don't forget, Starship is the vehicle that's going to the moon. And the lunar variant of Starship, which is under development at SpaceX, don't forget that SpaceX are contracted to supply the lunar lander for humans' next feet on the moon, if you like, then it's going to need to get into orbit like we've just seen the Starship doing. It's going to need to be refueled in orbit. Estimates of how many Starships will need to go up and refuel it vary, but it's anywhere between about 6 and 14. And why so many? Well, if you think about it, those Starships are carrying their own fuel to get into orbit, and they've got to also carry a bit more to refuel the orbiting lunar Starship. So they can't do it in one flight. So it could be as many as 14 flights to refuel the Starship. They have to do all this before all the fuel boils off in the vacuum. And they want to, the plan is that they will launch over several days, up to 14 refueling Starships to refuel the lunar Starship in orbit. The maximum amount of time that they can leave it is 2 weeks, because after 2 weeks, the fuel will have boiled off so much that there won't be enough for it to get to the moon. But assuming all the refueling goes correctly, and refueling is something that's never been attempted before either, SpaceX are going to get onto the in-orbit refueling next year. Assuming all that goes correctly, the Starship, having been refueled, will then fire its rockets and go to the moon, where it will rendezvous with the Orion spacecraft, which would have been launched before, carrying the astronauts. The astronauts will transfer to the Starship and descend to the moon's surface. So that's the plan. If that seems a little overcomplicated, it is. With the new American administration, the new Trump administration, I've been reading between a few lines that basically SLS stands a chance of being cancelled altogether. And many people are now saying, well, the Orion spacecraft could launch on a SpaceX rocket, on a Falcon Heavy, for example, and go to the moon that way. You actually don't need the SLS anymore. But as in excess of 20 billion has already been spent on it, would American taxpayers be happy with the idea of it being cancelled, as it's their money? So interesting times ahead.
Can I just chime in and say that SLS was also, the program was also built to spread out all the investment and the employment across many states in America.
Virtually all of them, yeah.
Yes, so the cost of cancelling that program has political repercussions in addition to financial repercussions. So whether that would go ahead or not, I don't know, but yeah.
But now that Elon Musk is Trump's best pal,
for now,
well, it probably won't last that long. It never does with Trump. Whether that will put any political pressure on Congress to cancel the SLS, who knows?
Interesting times.
But don't forget, Trump is a big supporter of manned spaceflight. And he was the one that really gave NASA the goal of getting to the moon before 2024, so that he could bask in the glory and claim the credit for Artemis landing on the moon, putting people back on the moon. Of course, it was a ridiculous time scale. It was never going to happen. But this time around, who knows? If it means that NASA gets a bigger budget, perhaps, because of new attitudes in Congress, then great, fantastic. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's the thing is, I mean, with the Artemis, there's a lot of things. There's too many moving parts for my liking, because we've also got to get the gateway up and running, which is going to be a permanent station that will be orbiting the moon, and we still haven't got that much closer to actually launching even the first payload yet. I think the main body of the gateway is a Cygnus supply thing, which then acts as a dustbin to get rid of all the detritus off the space station by burning out the atmosphere. But I mean, they're not even sure that a lunar starship is actually going to be able to dock with the gateway.
No,
because they now think that the weight of it could throw it all out of kilter. So it's strange times. But of course, we've also got the Dream Chaser.
Yes,
get the Dream
Chaser.
Chaser.
Yes, let's not forget Sierra Space. Indeed.
Yeah, so that could give us our second taxi, as they like to call them, a crude taxi to the International Space Station. But that's coming to the end of its life as well. And we've seriously got to think about building something else very soon.
Yeah.
I mean, it was only about a year or so ago, 18 months, 2 years ago, we had a list as long as of our arms of so-called space stations that are going to be built.
Yeah,
and slowly, one by one, they've into the long grass. So
look at that on the screen.
Yeah,
it's lovely, isn't it?
Beautiful.
Okay, guys, sorry, I have to go. I'll leave you at it to enjoy the rest of the evening. It's just getting late. I'm going to go to bed, but great to see the watch and enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah, lovely to see you, Bernard. Come and see us again soon.
Absolutely. Take care.
Good luck with everything.
Bye.
Cheers,
Bye.
also, I think that what we're looking at now, that's the internal. Isn't that actually inside the Starship?
Yeah, certainly is.
So I think that's probably the. I'm just wondering if that's the launch platform for Starlings and satellites.
Yeah, it is, I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Because we've only had the one test of the door, haven't we?
Yes.
So.
And that wasn't incredibly successful.
No, I can always remember them showing the images, and you could see all the air condensing and drifting around, and then as soon as they opened it, all the air rushed out.
Yeah,
it was actually in there. It was fascinating to watch, but it got stuck or something, wasn't it, when it was closing or something, and it got jarred. But it did close eventually because they. I mean, at the moment like I said, we're in a coast thing at the moment. Well, I'm looking at the wrong clock. I'm looking at our clock, not theirs. Does that say 30 or 20 minutes into the flight?
That says 20.
20.
20. Yeah.
I think we've got another 17 odd minutes before. Of course, like you said, Andy said, this is the first time that Raptor engine's actually been fired in space. So this was supposed to have been done not on the last mission as so much, but the one before. But they aborted that because it was spinning, if you remember. Totally out of control. But there is still a lot of science to be done on this this return. They are trying out several different sort of like tiles and underlayers for the heat shields. They've actually removed some of the tiles in strategic positions where they're going to be adding the catching pins.
Yeah.
For when to catch them, for when they decide that they're going to catch the Starship as well as the booster.
I was asked to leave my friend's wedding.
Yeah, so it's there's still a lot to go. I think they've also, didn't they say they did redesign slightly the forward flaps or something?
That on the Block 2s, which will be the next flight.
Oh, on the next one, is it? Yeah. So, and of course they have been talking that the next launch could be it's still this year.
Yes, indeed.
Anytime before New Year. So, if things move forward, it'll be interesting to see if he gets any trouble with the fact that the booster didn't return.
Yes.
But I think they've proved that if there is an issue, they can divert it away safely. But yeah, hopefully the FAA won't get involved. So yeah, it looks really promising. So hopefully we're going to get some nice images of this when it comes back into the Indian Ocean. As I said, it'll be in daylight.
Do we have any idea what time that's going to happen? So we can
let me just give you I'll tell you in a second. Splashdown. The landing burns. That's 1 hour 5 minutes into the flight.
Right.
So we've got a little way to go yet.
The
re-entry. The Raptor burn, as I said, is in 37 minutes, and then it starts its re-entry at 47 minutes 13, and then of course we'll be looking to see all these how these new tiles and everything, how they're going to actually hold up. Because I do believe, I'm sure I didn't imagine it, that on the return last test flight there was a little bit of burn through, nothing like there was before.
No,
but just right on the edge of the actual
the flap
itself. So yeah, we've got lots to look forward to, and yeah, that's definitely inside the Starship because you can see bits floating around.
So that's the so-called Pez dispenser.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so that's what's going to be actually dispensing the there's these Starlinks.
Yeah.
And then what they reckon they can do 100 at a time or something like that. I can't remember
something like that. Originally, it was going to be they were talking about 200 once upon a time, but as the design has evolved, I think they could probably get about 100 released at a time.
So assuming the way this is orientated, unless it's to the right, that looks like the door because it looks like a framework on the actual side of the thing. So I mean the launch pad looks pretty good.
Looks in good condition.
There's a couple of little things hanging down, but when you've been battered by 33 Raptor engines, I still got its arms open looking for somebody to cuddle. Yeah, desperate like Michael. But
it's 33 the new magic number.
Yeah,
it's 33 the new magic number. Is that right?
Apparently, yeah, that's the magic number. Yeah,
use it on the lottery.
Yeah.
I'm going to call it a night, guys. So I'll watch the replay.
Okay then, mate.
Okay then, mate. Okay,
yeah.
Then, mate.
Yeah. See you soon.
See
you next week. Bye.
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 See you later, Michael.
When will it go? Bye.
I'm going to head off too, I'm afraid. Sorry. I'm
okay then. Nice to see you, Ian.
Yeah, nice to see you, Ian. Take care.
See you all. Bye.
See you soon.
Take care.
Cheerio.
Bye.
Bye.
Just the hardcore.
Yes.
But yeah,
And
it's
then it's free.
this is as you say, it's exciting times, and we could, like I said, we could be seeing this all again before Christmas, which would be fantastic, or before New Year anyway.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put any money on it, but that's what they plan to do.
Well, that's the intent.
Yeah, I mean, they've everything's built. That's it. There's, with the delays they've had in the past due to not, and anything that was actually there doing as such, they've been forged ahead, carried on building these things, so they're way ahead of the curve as regards having them ready.
Now, did they not say that the Raptor relight was due to happen? How many minutes after launch was it?
It's 37 minutes. Well, it's nearly 38 minutes. It's 37 minutes.
Right.
I'm just scrolling down there. It's 37 minutes 46 seconds.
Mm-hmm. So we got about another 11 minutes or so.
Yeah, and then the re-entry actually begins big time at 47 10 minutes after that. So, so if anyone wants to get a coffee, the time's to do it now.
Indeed.
And of course, if anyone would like to buy us a coffee, that would be great.
Yeah.
We're always grateful for a bit of a caffeine injection.
We are indeed. So
I'd love to know what that is floating around in there. It keeps going up and down.
Oh yeah. Something.
It's a butterfly.
Yeah. Poor butterfly.
A flutterby.
Yeah, absolutely.
AMs.
So if that dispenser there is going to, dispense dozens of Starlink satellites, it just makes you realize how big the whole thing is.
Exactly. I mean, from what I understand, as you said, I'm sure it's over 100 at least Starlinks, but the actual racking or the mechanism to do it will actually be stacked in the hold, and as it does it, it'll move up. And then once it's dispensed them, it'll move up. Another one come in and just pop them out, like you say, the Pez dispenser.
Definitely.
So that's going to be a sight to see. Well, not for astronomers, but grain-based astronomers.
Yeah.
But yes, it's we've got quite a bit to come for. Like I said, they're still testing out different materials for the heat shield. They're even got testing out some of the layers that go underneath. So that they've, like I said, they've left gaps for where they're going to strategically put the pins, the catching pins. They're just basically seeing how it holds up, whether or not they do, whether they do need actually any shielding, where the pins are going to go, because they're going to have to be literally either side of the Starship. So there is going to be some protrusion. You know what I mean? So, but will the actual plasma, the heat, actually fold round where they're going to put it because they've removed the tiles? Because the tiles tend to go just a little bit over, sort of like half the circumference, and whether or not that's going to burn back into there. So they may have to build up a little sort of like barrier to deflect the plasma away from around it.
Yes,
it's interesting times. Very, very interesting.
Interesting times.
But I mean, you were talking about the heat shield on the Orion capsule, which they have got some big problems with because there was a few sections that virtually were burnt through. You said holes and cracks, ablated unevenly. Because we know this, the idea is the material on the literally on the surface gets hot and ablates off, carrying away all the heat.
Yes.
But also some of the areas where they had bolts fixing the heat shield onto the aircraft, onto the capsule, they were severely burnt and virtually melted.
Yes.
So this is why they've seriously got to look at it. I mean, some people have been saying, why don't they use the same material as they did for Apollo? It virtually is. It virtually is the same material.
It virtually is, yes.
So the things I mean, they have got some new composites, but yeah, it's something that, I mean, you can't send people up if there's any chance of it. Because if you remember, also, it didn't do just a re-entry like the Apollos did, if I remember right. It did this bounce maneuver where
Yes.
it entered into the atmosphere and then adjusted itself so it actually gained lift and pushed it back out again.
Yes.
So in effect, it actually entered twice.
Yes,
So it's so you've got sort of like almost a double whammy. But it was the first dip was supposed to have slowed it down. But yeah, it's a shame that these things happen. But it's something. I mean, everything. It's strange because we had the shuttle era, which we had flights on a regular basis, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Of course, that was supposed to fly sort of like at least once a month, but never actually achieved that cadence.
No.
But it then we, of course, we had the incidents with it, and it was cancelled, and then everything came to a standstill because without the shuttle, the Americans really had no way of actually getting into space.
No, exactly.
So they had to turn to the Russians, and it's just sad that we've got to this situation where you really only got one or two, well, especially in America, one major launch provider, which is SpaceX. As you said, you do have Rocket Lab, and they do launch American satellites. But to be able to do that on a regular basis, they've had to open a head office in the USA because the way the American government you do this is that even if there's an American satellite launched from a foreign country, it all still has to be approved by the FAA and everything else.
Yeah.
Even if you've got workers, because I can't understand how they're going to do it just by opening a headquarters in the USA. How are they going to still carry on launching in New Zealand? Because all the people out there, most of them are New Zealanders.
Yeah, true.
So it's they boxed themselves into a corner at the time. Well, yes, there was geopolitical pressures, but yeah. But you need somebody like SpaceX who's willing to take the risk, and of course, but like you say, even Blue Origin, even though they haven't got anything into orbit so far, the people who pay the bills are billionaires, and they can do this.
Exactly.
And
so we're coming up on about 4 minutes to go, something like that, before the wrap to midnight.
Yep. So that's the next milestone. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're looking at the inside of the Starship. What you're looking at, in case you missed it earlier, this is known as the PEZ dispenser. This is the mechanism that will launch Starlink satellites from the Starship into their orbit, and it does move up and down like a PEZ dispenser, spitting out Starlink satellites one at a time. Each one of those Starlink satellites, which will be the Starlink version 2, which is much bigger than the version 1 Starlinks, they weigh over a ton each. So that PEZ dispenser has obviously got to be very, very robust. There were rumors that SpaceX were going to test the PEZ dispenser on this mission, but it didn't happen. Whether they will try for it on the next mission, we don't know. We're looking at images of darkness at the moment.
Looks like there's some lightning going on. If you look on the...
Is that light? Oh, yes, there is. Look, do you see the light? Sort of the 8 o'clock.
In the Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
There's some lightning going on.
Lightning in the Indian... Well, is it? Yes, it must be the... Oh, I don't know where it is at the moment.
It's heading towards it anyway, wherever it is.
Yeah, beautiful nighttime view of the Earth with lightning.
Yeah.
Wow.
That might be the coast of Africa.
Yeah, could well be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's having a storm down there.
Yeah,
That might be a reflection of the rivers down there on the ground there.
It could be. Wow.
Anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, we're coming up on it. We've got 2 minutes to go now, literally.
Right.
So
okay, well, let's listen into the commentary from NASA spaceflight for these 2 minutes.
Okay, let's see if that works now. Should be about 1.5 minutes or so.
Want to stress that we're on a trajectory where if we didn't fire off the engine at all, we are definitely coming home. Ooh, seeing some thunderstorms down on the ground. That's pretty cool. But this is not a deorbit burn. If we didn't fire this engine, we're on a intentional suborbital trajectory. So no matter what, we're coming in over the Indian Ocean. Firing off the engine does change your exact splashdown point a little bit, but we've got this keep out zone across the entire Indian Ocean that we made sure was clear ahead of flight, and we continue to monitor during. But we're going to aim for that and hopefully see this relay test coming on in about 1 minute. It's just going to be one of these engines, and it uses what's called the header tank, so these small spherical tanks in the very top of Starship up in the nose cone. They don't require nearly as much gas to pressurize as your main tank, so they're really useful for any in-orbit maneuvers, and then for landing burn. So if we make it to a landing burn today, we'll be using them for that as well.
There we go. And just 30 seconds from now.
That expected.
Let's see what happens here. We want to see. Hopefully, please show us the engine bay cam.
Come on.
Please. I wish I had like a steering panel for the cameras of SpaceX.
We get Dust working on it.
Yeah, probably. We should see. There it is.
Yep.
Oh,
yep, there we go.
And just heard the call out for startup.
Unmistakable.
There we go. There it is. Yes.
Excellent.
There's some light. There's that Raptor relit. And shut down.
Good.
Nice.
Yes.
Looks like it was engine 1.
Yep.
One of the
one is
C-level
always
engines.
It's 1, 2, 3 counterclockwise, right? Or was
it's 1 is the top, the left one is 3, and the right one is 2.
So there you are. So SpaceX have successfully, for the first time ever, relit a Raptor engine in the vacuum of space. What do you think, guys? Pretty good, eh?
Yeah, that's another thing they can tick off.
Yeah, another thing they can tick off.
So, yeah, very, very interesting. So now we're getting to 10 minutes away when it'll actually start re-entry. Did you say it's coming in nose first, Rog?
It's going to go in nose first. They're going to absolutely push it to the maximum, just to see how far it goes before it goes bang.
Nice.
They're crazy.
They are. Because they can.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well, they need to test the limits of the vehicle, don't they?
Absolutely.
They need to know at what point it fails. So this will be interesting to see whether it survives.
Yep.
Right, we're not looking at much at the moment. We're still in the darkness of night in Earth orbit with the SpaceX Starship. For those of you that have joined us, we've witnessed the launch, which went flawlessly. Unfortunately, on this occasion, a decision was made not to try and attempt to catch the booster. Like on the previous flight, there are many, many parameters that go into making the decision about whether to go for a booster catch. Obviously, something was off somewhere. And don't forget, this is incredibly complicated technology. And SpaceX made the decision that they weren't going to try and catch the booster. The booster then splashed down into the Gulf of Mexico without incident and then exploded, which was expected. So no booster catch today, but we're looking at the Starship, which is not far off beginning its descent towards a splashdown, a daytime splashdown in the Indian Ocean, the first daytime splashdown we've actually seen from the Starship. SpaceX will no doubt have buoys moored there to video the actual splashdown. So let's hope we get some footage from those. As Ozzy was just saying, they've made a decision. They're going to bring the Starship in nose first into the atmosphere to test it right to its limits to see how long it survives in a steep trajectory, nose first. So this will be quite interesting to see.
Yeah, it says here the ship, the Starship, also will intentionally fly at a higher angle of attack in the final phase of descent, purposefully stressing the limits of flap control to gain data on future landing profiles. Finally, adjusting the flight's launch window to the late afternoon at Starbase will enable the ship to re-enter over the Indian Ocean in daylight, providing better conditions for visual observations. So,
Indeed.
yeah.
Indeed. So, on your little list there, Daz, what time does the descent begin?
What are we on the 41? It's in about 6 minutes' time.
In about 6 minutes' time.
Re-entry starts at 47:13.
Right, and they are. I can't see at the moment. Hang on.
Well, it's 41, 56, 57,
Right.
58, 59.
Okay.
42.
So yeah, we're about 5 minutes off now.
5 minutes away from starting the descent or splashdown.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's going to be really interesting if they're coming in, rate or not.
Yes, indeed.
So yeah, it would be interesting. Like I say, they're testing this to the limits. To the flap. Basically, it's the flaps that the control. See if the flaps can control a steep descent.
Yes, indeed.
So yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. Of course, what we've got to look out for once this starts is we've got to look out for the plasma forming.
Yes.
That little orange pink glow.
Yes.
That will tell us that it's actually coming. It's making.
What are we seeing at the moment? Do you think? Well, obviously it's the Starship.
I'm just wondering whether or not is that the sunrise.
Could be.
Maybe.
Is that the sunrise?
Yes, it could well be actually. We're looking backwards, aren't we? Towards the rear of the Starship.
I presume so.
Yes.
They don't show what cameras are. See, it's already adjusted itself. If you look at the profile on the little cartoon thing, so it's already adjusted itself. So I presume that's to start scrubbing off some of the speed. What's the speed doing? Oh, it's going up. Well, that's not the answer.
Yeah.
It is descending slowly.
Yeah.
The speed's going up slowly.
Yeah. Of course, that's basically the. So,
it's now down to 99 kilometers.
So we're coming in, and we're coming in fast.
98. Oh, a nice view from the engine bay.
Yep. I was thinking, and when you review this, when you look at the, look in the inside images again, it looked like one of the workmen had actually left some of his lunch there because it looked like there was a banana.
Yes.
In there. So I think he left his lunch there. So
yeah. Oh, there we are.
He'll probably sell that on eBay because it's been in space.
Yes, indeed. We've got a multicam view now.
Yeah.
View from the engine bay, two of the flaps, and the external camera, which we believe is looking towards the rear of the Starship. But couldn't swear to it. Difficult to tell. Well, viewers, thank you so much for being with us. If you've got any questions, about what's happening and about the Starship, then please, don't hesitate to put them in the comments. We'll do our very best to answer your questions.
Is there still a fire going on in the ocean?
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think there's still some flames coming out the top of the rocket.
Yeah.
What are those two things in the
Or
sky?
the back of the rocket, if it's pointing head first into the water.
Yeah, it does seem strange. Like you say, there's two things in the sky as well. I wonder if they're helicopters.
That's probably.
Yeah.
Don't get too close.
Well, I think it's already blown. Don't worry.
Yeah, but there's definitely something that looks like it's could be fuel burning on. Well, no, because it's methane, isn't it? So I mean, there could be methane in the tanks that are still seeping out.
But methane burns with a blue flame. That's not a blue flame.
Okay then.
So it wouldn't be methane.
Maybe it hit a Russian submarine or something.
Maybe it hit a shark.
that was the worry, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Unbelievably, the US government got so over environmentally conscious that they asked SpaceX to do a study to show what were the chances of a splashdowning. That is now a verb. A splashdowning Starship hitting a shark, and SpaceX said they had absolutely no idea, but it wasn't likely to be very high. This is the same
unlucky shark.
Yeah, this is the same environmental concern that made them put headphones on a seal, and they replayed a recording of the sonic boom that the Starship makes when it re-enters to the poor seal to see if it suffered any distress, and it didn't. It didn't seem to react at all, as if nothing had happened. But these are some of the ridiculous lengths that it's gone to in an effort to, not stop SpaceX launching, but certainly delay them. And interestingly, I was reading this week that finally the FAA, the Federal Aviation Authority, have set up a committee to fast track space launch applications, and not before time. However, I sort of die a bit inside whenever I hear the dreaded phrase, a committee has been set up. But it's a step in the right direction.
Ooh.
What's
They're
happening?
lighting the rockets again.
Or is it boosters?
It's thrusters, I think.
Thrusters, yeah. Sorry, not boosters.
Yeah.
Thrusters. Because it's coming in at quite an angle at the moment. So, because we have started the re-entry.
Yeah. Oh, now that's definitely plasma.
Definitely.
So we're seeing an accumulation of plasma surrounding the spacecraft now as it descends. We're down to 75 kilometers. Its speed is slowing right down. We've had a couple of thruster firings. So far, no apparent damage to the flaps. Unlike two previous missions where the metal of the flaps was eaten through. Not so much on the last one, but certainly on flight 4. It nearly ate through all of the base of the flap. But so far, so good. But mind you, there is 73 kilometers to go, so it's not over yet.
I'm watching another feed, and there's a strange yellow line that's going.
I can see it here.
Plasma.
What is that?
Yeah, that must be the plasma getting to. There you go. Look at that.
Wow. Let's just put the sound back on from NASA spaceflight, see what they're saying about it.
They say that they did not put the ablative underneath. They did not, because on Flight 5, they stripped the heat shield. They put the ablative layer underneath, and he said they did not do this. This is an older style heat shield. which again we saw, massive burn through on Flight 4. I'm really interested to see what happens here.
Yep, and there's one of these flaps. These flaps are the critical point here. That's the point where if something goes wrong, we probably expect it to go wrong there.
I like how he said he's pushing the vehicle. They really want to see what this thing can do. They have the math, right? Alex is smiling because I said the math word. They do the math on the engineering, but then they go, okay, guys, how far can we go? What's the next step? And this is it. We're watching it in real time. Amazing.
Right, kind of crazy that they removed 2,000 tiles.
Yeah,
that's a lot of weight. Also from it would be a huge win if they get through this without these tiles, because that's 2,000 tiles they don't need. That's a lot of payload.
Yeah, that translates right to the bottom line for mass to orbit, and you start to see that. Look at the engine bay camera. That is beautiful, absolutely stunning. And they're entering the peak heating part. We're going to start to see sparks. The colors change, like you said, Adrian. It's incredible. And they're still trying to hit that pinpoint landing, the pinpoint near the buoy in the Indian Ocean.
By the way, viewers, buoy is American for boy. Just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah.
Descending Starship, plasma now streaking up everywhere. And what you're looking at is the surface of one of the flaps. It's shiny because they've coated it in aluminium. And the reason they've coated it in aluminium is that they can see temperature gradients and changes a lot more easily in an aluminium sheet. So this won't be on the final design, but it's just to give them a good visual indicator of where the heat is and where it's going over the surface of the flap. So far, so good. Not seeing any eating away of the flaps yet, but then again, we're still 67 kilometers up.
There's a long way to go.
Long way to go.
Yep.
And it's not actually at the moment descending that fast. Only 22,700 and something kilometers per hour. It's a slow coach. Oh.
Yeah, altogether it's about 18 minutes, the descent.
Right.
Splashdown is scheduled for 1 hour and 5 minutes and 24 seconds.
Right. So we're at 53 minutes.
Yeah. So we're already...
So not that long to go.
No.
But so far, everything seems to be holding up, no?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Fingers crossed. And that's still at a steep angle, look.
Mm.
So they are really coming in hot in more ways than one.
Exactly.
Absolutely fantastic. So you can see the plasma venting around the surfaces. Got some sparks. Yeah, you can see the colours of the flaps beginning to change with the heat.
Yes.
So, of course, knowing the colours, so you know roughly what temperature they are.
Mm.
So, but I don't want to jinx it, but there doesn't seem to be any burn through.
Love to know what that yellow laser thing is.
Exactly, it's very strange.
Mm.
Could be
Set phasers to stun.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. But I said it could be something that's a bit exposed. That's
from the bare patch of the tiles, I expect.
Yeah, possibly.
Mm.
And I think this is what they want to see if they can grab a look at is where they have removed the
tiles.
tiles.
Mm.
I think we're beginning to level out a bit on the. Maybe not. You can see the Earth moving underneath.
Yeah. Well, the Starship seems to be under good orientation control, at least.
Yeah, they're scrubbing off the speed quite fast now.
Yeah, it's not spinning like was it Flight 3, wasn't it?
Mm.
Where it lost attitude control.
Like that? Yeah, something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see the clouds down below.
Yep. So of course this is
more daylight.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you can see it coming over the. I don't know whether that's mountains or coast or.
Possible to tell, isn't it? Could be anything.
Yeah.
I can see your house, Daz.
Oh, I thought that was Bognor. But some river delta just gone through.
Now, if you, oh dear, look at the flap. It looks like I may be wrong, but there seems to be some damage to the bottom of the flap in one of those cams. Well, maybe not.
No, they look the same.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, it's also a miracle that we're getting images of this.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
This is due to Starlink.
Yeah, thanks to Starlink.
Starlinks are actually above. Starlinks are actually above the Starship, so they're looking through the hole at the back of the plasma. So that's the only reason. Just saw a picture of the engine bay, and it looked like there's flamey now.
Oh, by the way, I wrote to Sarah Grover to ask her if there was any news about the astronauts, but she hasn't replied so far.
Okay. Suppose probably planning her Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Of course, it's Thanksgiving, isn't it?
Soon, yeah.
When is it?
I don't know. I know it's at the end of November, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it looks like one of the flaps is. No, it's gone out. That's gone out. It's all right. I've got different.
Different feed.
Yeah. Well, they're all showing the same thing, but there's slightly delays on them, slightly different.
Well, viewers, this is coming up to crunch time now. We're now down to 51 kilometers descending.
Yeah, if you look at the middle flap at the front, it looks like there's some real heating going on there.
Yes, indeed.
But it's
but so far everything's holding up.
Yeah. I mean, it's only to be expected these surfaces are going to get hot. I mean, they've endured this long. And we're still 52 kilometers up. We go transonic at 1 hour 3 minutes. So about 4 minutes time.
About 4 minutes time. You can see the speed really starting to bleed off now.
Yeah, I think we're through the worst now.
I think we are.
But then again, we probably won't see so much of the plasma because we're in daylight now.
Yeah, that's true.
But I want to see those three flaps again, that free flap issue. See if we've got...
Well, the flaps appear pretty much unscathed.
Yeah, they do. Just on the tip of one, it looked like we're getting a bit...
Yeah, that's sort of the leading edge.
Yeah.
Right where the joint was. Which is the vulnerable part, isn't it? So...
Absolutely.
What a beautiful day.
It certainly is. Good job there's no thunderstorms there. It's definitely scrubbed quite a chunk of that speed off now.
Let's just see if there's any. There we are. You can see the information better now. Get rid of our ugly mugs. And we're down to 42 kilometers. Still, oh, look at that.
Oh dear. That's a bit of a glow.
But only a glow. It doesn't. It still looks structurally sound.
There's a little bit of ablation going on.
We're down to just under 7,000 kilometers per hour now.
But of course, as we said, they're bringing this at a very steep angle because they're testing this to the nth degree. And if that's the extent of what they've had so far, it's
held up remarkably.
It looks like it's cooling down now.
Yeah. Of course, the relighting of the Raptors is going to be the next big event.
Yeah, that'll probably be on the next one. Now they can know that they can do it.
Indeed.
So of course they'll be examining these images, getting as much data as they can. But look at the scorching on the side of the actual Starship itself. That has got hot.
Well, this is what real rockets look like. You know, none of your Star Trek rubbish when rockets are always gleaming and spotless and immaculate. This looks like a rocket. God, I hate Star Trek.
We're going to be doing a flip maneuver soon. The landing flip.
Ages to go yet.
That's 1 minute, 1 hour, 4 minutes.
And if you're wondering what all the movement is, viewers, the camera is actually mounted on one of the flaps. So that's what you're seeing. And you can see
it's beginning to level out now.
Yeah.
You can't see it on our things, but I can see it on another one.
I think we can yeah. No, I can see it here.
There it is, yeah.
Yes, there we go.
It will shortly be performing not shortly, when it gets down to not many. I can't remember what altitude they do the belly flop, but it's only about 2 kilometers or something. It's very last moment the belly flop maneuver.
Yeah, it's within a minute of the actually splashdown. The flip happens at 1 minute, 1 hour, 4 minutes, 56 seconds, and the splashdown is 1 hour, 5 minutes, 24.
Right, thank you.
So, as you said, this movement is because it's actually mounted on the flap, but you can definitely see the scorching and the heat.
Yeah.
On the machine itself, but then again, this is what it's we're here to test.
Yes, absolutely.
Did they say something about they've taken off 2,000 tiles?
Yes, indeed.
I mean, it's that's probably why we're seeing this scorching. But then again, we wouldn't have seen this because we always, in the last ones, have been in the dark.
In the dark.
Yeah.
So we're coming down through towards the clouds now.
Yep. And about 4 miles up.
Yeah.
3 miles up.
Seem to have some vapor.
I hope the cameras stay on for the belly flop maneuver. That's going to be epic.
Absolutely.
Coming up on the cloud deck.
Bit of a wobble on. Of course, there'll be some turbulence. The flap's going to extend any second now.
Here we go through the cloud. Wow.
There we are.
There goes the flap.
Wobble, wobble.
And it's surprising how these things can, the mechanisms can survive this. So here we go. Going to do the flip any second now. Oh, you boys are in for a treat. Whoa.
Here we go. There it is.
Flip around.
There's
Look at
water.
that. And
coming
up on splashdown.
Oh, look, there's a catch. There's the camera. Wow.
Oh,
yeah.
Perfect. Wow.
Wow.
And where we are.
Yeah, we've got lots of flames to come yet.
Yeah.
So,
and in the water.
Look how close that is as well.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Oh. We'll get
That
ready.
was fantastic. Well, I think that achieved everything that they wanted to achieve.
Thank you, Ship 31.
Yes. Oh.
Well, there we are.
Oh, I've just noticed the girls are wearing banana shirts, so that banana was probably meant to be in there.
Probably.
Well, the ship had a banana decor painted on the outside. 6 feet high. There we are. Well, there we are. So, viewers, that's it.
Fantastic.
Oh.
Looks to have been a perfect re-entry with no discernible damage at all. A very steep trajectory. The SpaceX could push the Starship to its limits to find out what it was capable of. They now know. And a perfect splashdown with some epic footage from on board the Starship itself. So that'll do for tonight. We'll wrap things up. Thank you so much for joining us for this this mission. Real shame that the booster couldn't be caught in the end, but it's still a test program. Never forget that. These are not regular flights of Starship. This is a test program, and they will continue to test until they get everything perfect and reliable.
There still seems to be a fire out in the Gulf. It'll pan over.
Oh yes, there's still a fire in the Gulf.
Oh, dear.
Never mind. It'll go out.
We'll find out what all this was all about.
That 5 viewers, in case you didn't see it earlier, is from the Super Heavy booster that was asked, well, probably told is probably more like it. Would you mind awfully splashing down in the Gulf of Mexico? You can just imagine Captain Wilson of Dad's Army saying that. Would you mind awfully just splashing down in the Gulf of Mexico? There's a fire from that because it did explode when the seawater entered the vehicle. It flashed to steam in against the high
helicopter there as well.
Yeah, helicopter there as well.
You'll see it coming from the right in a second.
Yeah.
So they are observing what's going on. So we will find out what went on.
Yeah, we'll find out. Anyway, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next Monday on Space Oddities, as always.
Well, Tuesday.
Sorry, next Tuesday. Sorry, I'm getting confused. So at 8 o'clock UK time next Tuesday, please join us again on Space Oddities. And have a fantastic week. So from Daz and Roger and myself,